this. I'm gonna have a recording converting. So good to see everyone. Kathy, that color is beautiful on you. Laura,
Well,
I love
thank
the
you.
love the pastels on you.
I like
Um,
you in black.
Yeah,
well,
you definitely got the Apple thing going on.
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it's you
Steve
know,
Jobs
I will Laura has this view, but I'll show you. Well, Dan's like, it's spring. I'm like, wait a minute. Well, the sun came out. That's what we're dealing with here.
A
Yeah.
lot of snow.
Ton of snow. So we're going skiing today. Finally, the sun came up. We went up
I
to
think
Powder.
Bruce is going with you guys.
Yeah, we went up to Powder yesterday, and it was like that's a no. I want to live, not ski. So the sun came out today, so we're doing that. So what wins? What wins do you guys have? And I want to just preface this by saying what I said to my last group and what I said yesterday in our mastermind. No win is big or small. The mechanism of co-creation is when you go to order up $1 million, the universe isn't like, that's really hard. I've never done that before. We think in our human mind it's hard, but it's not. Okay. So no win is too large or too small. Hold on. I'm going to rename this to because I lose those files. 6-23. Thank you for indulging me. So while you're thinking about that, I want you to think about what wins do you have?
Well, okay.
Go
I'm
ahead.
so excited because my son Pete and his family are about to arrive
Oh,
for Easter. And they're two
that's
little
great.
girls who are 7 and 9,
Oh,
and
that's
they
nice.
will be here till Monday. So
Nice.
that's going to be fun.
Good for
Really.
you. That's
And
really
I got
beautiful.
completely organized. That's the win. You do. When you have 4 people moving in to your house, it's not just me anymore.
Yeah. That's
So
beautiful. Well, that's exciting.
it is.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know when we have our grandkids visit or we visit them, it can just be, it's outside of your comfort zone or, it's a new thing. But if we can just do the best we can do and then set the positive intention and let yourself have fun and take care of yourself in the process, it can just, you think about the days that you have with your children and your grandchildren, and those are the memories that you're just going to cherish. I love that. Thanks, Kathy. Laura, wins. No one's too big or too small.
I think right now what comes to mind.
Okay. Crying's okay. Crying's allowed. It's just salt and water.
I get little Tommy out of my head. So I'm grateful that I can say, God, please heal him. I can see him healed and yet still say thy will be done. Yeah. And know that whatever happens, we can live through it and grow through it. And so, yeah, I know, Kathy, you don't understand, but I won't take the time to explain right now.
No, tell me who Tommy is.
Tommy is like a grandson to me.
Oh.
And he's 4 years old and he's up in the NICU and they don't know what he has and they don't know what's going on. And his grandfather is a very established doctor with several clinics, and his mom is a nurse, and they're very spiritual and very good people, and they think outside the box as well as inside the box, and they've got it covered. I just found out about it this morning.
Yeah.
So
he just appeared with all that on his face.
Those are blisters.
Oh.
There's hives and blisters all over his body erupting constantly, and they don't know why. And they have some of the best doctors, obviously, in the state at the University of Utah, which is a leading
medical center, teaching school. Yeah.
But the win for me today, as far as business goes, is that my son and I invited him to speak with me at a healing conference, and we've got the presentation almost completed. It actually has gone really smooth. Working with him just is so nice. He fills the gaps where I have, and I fill the gaps where he has, and it's just a beautiful process that happens with us. And so I'm excited about that. That'll happen on the 15th.
I love that.
So,
Congratulations.
Yeah,
That's huge.
it is huge. There's a bunch of speakers that day, and we're scheduled to speak at 2 o'clock, which is a really fairly good time. And then from 2 to 3, and
Mhm.
then we're also a vendor there. So
Nice.
it will, and it's in Layton, and it's called the Energy Healing Conference. And so
love
it's
it.
all things
Yeah.
wackadoodle and in science as well.
Your tribe. That's your people.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Way to
sure.
manifest it.
Yeah.
Well, that is so amazing. And I just want to say, let's use this example of Tommy, this child. Doctors, by their science and by their Hippocratic oath, have to give you percentages and ideas and survivability and prognosis. That's what they've observed. That's based on the past. But every single day there are what are called medical miracles. Every single day. And I truly believe that what we can do in that situation is to see this child healed, to see the power of God coming to and through him, to see him making a full recovery. Napoleon Hill's son, if you haven't read that chapter in Think and Grow Rich, his son was born deaf, and the prognosis was he would be deaf for all of his life. And Hill and his wife said, no, that will not happen. And his son ended up, against all odds, having the power of hearing. And I have another friend who's an ER doctor. He's an amazing man. His name is Spencer Poole. He's an ER doc. He's cutie, very handsome, and very charismatic, and just a very sweet guy. He was originally from South Africa, and his son was born with a congenital heart defect. And here he is, an emergency room doctor. And he had read that chapter in Hill's book. And they told him, and he was a doctor, so he knew what the odds were, that his son would probably not make it through a month. And he and his wife visualized and prayed and visualized and prayed. And his son just turned 10. And he's completely fine. So the doctors, Bob used to say, and I think Kathy, you and I met at that matrix where Bob talked about helping a really senior level executive. He didn't name names or companies, but he flew in and had a meeting with the whole family. And he said, every single one of you must let the doctors do their work, and you mind the mind and the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the guy, against all odds, survived. So it's what we can do. The medical, he's in the best medical hands. He's getting the best medical service, but we have to shut out the senses and say, what do we want for this child? How can we best help? Prayer is the best way. Prayer, seeing him healthy, seeing him well, seeing him 5 years old, seeing him 10 years old, seeing him be this miracle child, the story, seeing them have a medical breakthrough that helps other children. I have no idea, but there's a reason this is happening, and there's good in it, and prayer can help us connect with the good of it. Okay. Does that help?
I am just, I'm going to put mute on because Bruce is making breakfast in the background. And
Sure. No
so
worries.
thank you, Peggy.
Yeah,
So.
no worries. So this lesson that we're talking about is about money. And the question I would have for you is, how much money would you absolutely love to have? On a monthly basis, and on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, on an annual basis, and in terms of your net worth, with no accounting for the how, right? We have no idea how this is going to come into being. But have you given thought to what it would feel like, an image of how much money you would love, and what it would feel like to be in possession of that?
Do we want to be realistic? I mean,
Okay, here comes Bob. Do you believe what we teach? Well, no, let's talk, but Kathy, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
No, good question. Really good question. Because ultimately your paradigm is the realistic voice of reason, right?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Okay. So I love this because I'm going to break this down the way I broke it down in the last group. Being realistic is a function of this business. See these senses?
Sure.
You can
Yeah.
see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. What do we do? And then we have our paradigm, right? We have our existing programming. What is being realistic? Being realistic is looking at what you've already done, how you think you're going to do it, and if or when you're going to fail, right? It's usually related to the how
Mhm.
and past history. Right. And so I'm glad you brought it up, Kathy, because someone in your position might say, I know better. No, say the obvious out loud. So should we be realistic? And here's how I'm going to break this down. Yes and no. When we're building the image of what we want, it should only be based, Bob said this over and over again, on one prerequisite, easy for me to say, on one prerequisite. What would you love? What would you love?
Well, I sometimes listen to Kathleen and she says, okay, I'm going to make $100 million.
Yeah. And what do you think? That's a
Well,
lot of money.
it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But, wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't it be nice if our friend Trevor, wouldn't it be
Yes.
nice if, yeah. Do you think that when Elon Musk thinks about 100 mil, that he thinks that's a lot of money?
No.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Think Bezos thinks that? I mean, that's a rounding error for those guys.
No. No.
No,
Not at
I
all.
would be happy with 100 grand a month net, not
Okay.
gross,
So
but net. That would
100K
be- Yeah,
net of
Okay.
taxes.
yeah, after tax.
Okay, I'll say the same thing.
Okay, good. Good news.
Well,
That's my interim goal too.
Yeah.
Yay, high five. 100, it's the 100,000 club a month. It's the 1,000,002 a year club.
Yeah,
so
wouldn't that
here's
yeah.
so here's the thing. That's the image. That's the dream. Excuse me. Think of it this way. When Bob sat in that office on Glenwood Lane with a pen in 1960, whatever, and said, I'm going to operate a business that operates all over the world that helps people with this material. All over the world. The internet was 50 years from being invented. The cell phone was 40 years from being invented. Do you think he had any idea how that was going to happen?
No.
None. And look what happened. He was in every country in the world.
He was.
He couldn't have imagined the internet. He couldn't have imagined Zoom and this computer and, I mean, he was selling cassette recordings of Earl Nightingale's work. Cassette recordings. You can listen to it on your watch.
Yeah.
What's the point? Nothing is big or small, but thinking makes it so.
Yeah.
In your current paradigm, 100K a month is big. To Elon Musk, he wouldn't open his eyes out of bed for 100K.
That's a day, a day
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah. Nothing's big or small, but thinking makes it so. Perception.
Mm-hmm.
The law of relativity. Nothing is big or small, but thinking makes it so. The money you enjoy today, someone else would say, only if. Geez, if I could only do that. And not that long ago, You thought that too. Now you might have been making more at one point and now you're making less, and I can relate to that feeling. And if you key to that, you're screwed. So don't key to that. Do not key to that. Stop paying attention to the not this moment stuff. So we know the formula, right? We build the image. What would you do with 100,000 net a month? Spitballing. Think about it for a minute. Well, let's do this exercise. Let's do this thought exercise. I'm so happy and grateful now that you have the image. You can see it going into your bank account, right? It's usually digital, whatever. You see a copy of your bank statement. You see a bottom line of $100,000 of income. Every month. No attention to the how, just the what. Now we're going to get emotionally involved in the why.
I would do whatever I wanted.
Yeah. Well,
I know. Just do it. I'm
would.
gonna get my water 1 second. Keep talking.
Yeah, no, go ahead. No,
Right.
go ahead.
Question, going to a funeral in Ohio. I'd watch my son run the business. I'd go on a cruise probably this next week. I'd just book it and let's go. Need to get away. I'd build a barn for the horses sooner than later, probably this year instead of next. It just is comfortable. It just feels comfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, I know $100,000 isn't, I don't think it's, what is it, Q6? What's the jet?
Oh, a G6.
A
We're up to
G6. yeah.
G7s now, but a G6,
Okay.
I could work with that.
Okay, so G6 is a little more affordable now that G7's come out. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. But I know that it's comfortable. It feels
Yeah.
really comfortable.
So the comfort, I'm guessing, because I can relate to that. The comfort would be, I see something, I want something, I do it. Yeah. I see it, I
Yeah.
want it, I do it.
Yes.
Right? Like you don't sit there and go, oh, I would love that, but
No,
right?
no.
Okay. Yeah. Kathy, so now we have this image, 100,000 into your Merrill account or, whatever. It's just rolling in like waves off the ocean, like the water running down the Canyon River. It's just flowing, flowing, flowing. No, don't know how yet. We just know the what, the image of the 100K net a month coming in. Now what?
But
What's happening?
Well, I would schedule maybe 4 trips a year with my family and take them incredible places, rent homes, just fly them wherever we decide we want to go. That would be pretty special.
Yeah.
I'd love to donate money to empower women in this information because it's so transformative. And all my clients are kind of, I guess I've attracted them going through transitions, they're struggling. They finally realize that they're living, they don't have to live that way in a relationship that isn't working. Okay. And what else would I want to do? Well, I keep always taking classes in this material for sure.
Yeah.
It keeps you honest in a way. I'd probably get a second home someplace like Carmel, Santa Barbara, on the beach somewhere. I'm pretty happy because I love where I live. I love my house. I love my life here, but I'd like to expand it.
Yeah, of course. And let's just take, that's a beautiful idea that I want to expand on. The fastest, the most pleasurable, the most effective way, in my opinion, after doing this work for as long as I've been doing it, to feel really, really good, to enjoy the vibrational equivalent of what is coming and has already been created.
Yes.
And to have the miracles show up, to live in that ease, joy, and flow, to have it be easy. Because I think at the core of it, I'm just going to put a pin into the how in a second. I think at the core of it, what we really want is that feeling of alignment. And you
Mhm.
can have that right now. But when we're in the gap of not enjoying what we have and being only happy conditionally when the 100K a month shows up, two things happen. Number one, we don't have that joy of enjoying the vibrational equivalent of it now, which is just as real. It does exist in the vibrational equivalent.
Yes.
What it, God says this in the Bible, right, Laura? It's already been created. All of creation is finished. We need to become that vibrational match. It's like, this was in my last lesson. It's as if we've asked God or the universe or whatever that represents to you for all of these things. And sometimes you don't even ask consciously, but now we're bringing it into our conscious awareness and we're daring to dream. And we say, okay, here's what I'd really, really love. And God is like, okay, got it. No problem. Not a problem. I got everything up here, everywhere, right? The universe is like, already got it, on it. That parallel universe of what you want, who you are, what you're doing, already created in the quantum field. It's like the restaurant of life has everything cooked up. It's already created. And now the question is like, the universe is like, and God is like, hey, you have an appointment. You have a reservation. Come on in. Come on in. It's already done. Come enjoy it. Well, how do you get in and enjoy it and connect up with it and rendezvous with it? And create the image. We just did that. Super easy, not super
Yeah.
complex, right? Then you get emotionally involved with it. Oh my gosh. I'll tell you what I would do. Laura, you don't need to buy a G6. You can buy a $3,000, $4,000 membership at Wheels Up. Now, that probably won't get you into a G6, but I'd be okay with a Citation 7. They're nice jets. I've been in them. Okay.
They cost, how much is that a year?
It's like, I think the entry level into Wheels Up, which is now owned by Delta, is like $4 or $5 grand. Maybe it's $3,000 to $5,000. And then you pay an
Really?
hourly fee for the
I
jet.
thought it was like, we looked into one, it was like 30 or 40,000 to join.
NetJets is more, but Wheels Up. But my point is, obviously, I've done a little researching,
Yeah, I
sleuthing
know,
into
I
it.
love this.
Tell us, I want to know.
But
Yeah.
my point is, and then you pay the hourly fee for whatever equipment you're, effectively renting. You pay a membership fee, and then the hourly fee is for fuel and the equipment and the pilots. But the point is, how did I get to that level of knowing about these things? I was like, dang, I love Salt Lake. We have a beautiful airport, all is well, but you know what? It's the vibe in there and the time. It's a huge time suck. For me to
Yeah.
fly to Holland, Michigan, it takes an entire day. I have to go through 2 airports on Delta. Yes, I have access to the clubs. Yes, I have TSA pre. Yes, I usually sit in first class. That's great. But honestly, it's the time for me. It's the fact that it takes an entire day. And sometimes I have to get up at 3:30 in the morning. Like, no, if you're flying NetJets, they wait for you. You go when you show up. So I had built an image of it. It was helpful that I'd already had a lived experience of it, but I built the image and then I'm getting emotionally involved in it. You know what? And then I got inspired action. Oh, you know what? Here's a funny thing. I started getting emails from Wheels Up.
Oh, I have to do, oh, how fun.
Yeah. So
Will
go
you
to
send
Wheels.
me one? Will you
Yeah.
send me?
Yeah.
Okay, forward me one.
Yeah. No. So that's how it happens. But I want to reinforce the process here because I think we get a little lost in the sauce. Build the image, right? The image of Tommy Healed, the image of 100,000 a month. God has no limits, obviously. The universe has no limits. The quantum field exists. Everything exists in a super state of possibility. The reason we even have jets to fly on is because somebody, the Wright brothers, had an idea and they got emotionally involved and they would not be shaken loose. People told them, I think their father told them they were going to burn in hell.
Yes.
but they kept getting emotionally involved in it. And then when you're in that aligned state with an attitude of this I will do, this I can do, I have done harder things, everything is possible. I am a creative being. I am able to create things in my life. I've done it. I will, I can, I will. Then when you're in that aligned state of the image and the feeling of it, practice this week. Then sit in that state and ask for guidance. And ideas will come.
Time out real quick. I'm gonna get
Yeah.
dressed and go. The mom wants me to come to the hospital, so
Mhm.
I'm gonna head out. I'm gonna,
Yeah.
if you guys are still on, I'll hook up in the car.
No worries. No worries.
I'm gonna go. Okay, bye, guys. I'll see.
Well, here, Laura, here's the thing.
Mhm.
To the extent that you can, I know your heart's heavy, hold an image of that child well
I will. Thank you. I appreciate that. There's
and
a reason
encourage them
why-
to do it too. I know it's hard.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be
To
there. for 'em.
whatever you
Yep.
be those folks.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're very strong
worries.
people. Okay,
No
bye.
worries. No worries.
Yep.
So
This is good,
Ca-
Peggy.
this makes sense, right?
It
So
does.
because here's the thing. I was just going through lesson 9 in attitude, and I encourage you to go through lesson 9 again. The questions in there are so powerful. Build the image of 100,000 a month.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, get emotionally involved in it.
Okay.
Have fun. Do you have Apple TV at your house?
No.
Okay. Well, you can subscribe to it. You can get it. Well, whatever. There's a show. You can probably find it on the internet
Okay.
called The Reluctant Traveler.
Oh, okay.
And it's with Eugene Levy. And the reason I'm talking about this, and for anybody, Lisa, Joni, listening to this, we have to then actively do things that fire up our imagination, right?
Yeah.
So he took this trip to the Maldives that was just like unbelievable. And I was like, oh my gosh. So watch travel shows to exotic places or go on YouTube and type in places that you would like to go to, hotels, different experiences. We watched the one that he did on the Maldives and on this place. Have you ever heard of the Aman chain of
No.
resorts? Oh my God. Google that. There's one in southern Utah called Amangiri. We went on our honeymoon to the one in Turks and Caicos. I mean, literally, a guy waded out into the ocean to give me a beer. That's the kind of place it is.
What's it called?
It's called Aman, Aman Resorts.
AMAN Resorts.
Yeah,
Okay.
Aman Resorts.
Okay.
So, but this is the next step, right? So you
Yes.
have an image of it and you get emotionally involved in it and you write a script. I'm so happy and grateful now that I effortlessly am earning 100,000 net a month through multiple sources of income,
I love it.
right?
I love
Kathleen
it.
didn't know how she was going to make her first million.
No.
She did it selling TIR, using TIR. That was don't compare her day, 4 years to your day, for 6 months.
Right.
She started just the same way that everybody does. And then she had an idea to make her own programs. And then she had an idea, but she was using the tools
Yes.
that we teach here. Nothing new under the sun. So that's the important thing, is just going back to basics. And lesson 9 on attitude is so powerful because he tells us here, whatever we hold an image of and we get emotionally involved in, if we take care of this part of the stick person,
Mhm.
the body will move into action. The body is the instrument of the mind. Mind is in every cell of the body. So like you got an idea to rent out your in-law suite.
Yes.
Good idea. Like ideas come to us in response
Right.
to being connected up to the source of all that is. So every day as much as you can, like every 2 hours, set a timer on your clock. Maybe you do it at 9 a.m., 11 and 1 and 3, definitely in the morning before you get out of bed and at night when you go to sleep. Get into the energy. And that's what we crave, I think, the most is this alignment, that feeling we had when we did the guided visualization, right? The meditation. You
Yes.
feel so calm, you feel so aligned, you feel so at ease. That's what we really crave. And then we get ideas, we get inspired ideas. Then they might be a crazy idea. Like maybe you rent a house in Carmel for 2 weeks just to test out the neighborhoods, you know?
Sure.
You see what I'm saying? So when you said what's realistic, well, you don't even know. Like Sandy said, she bought a condo in Malibu because she thought she wanted to be there. Well, it turned out
And she
wasn't
didn't wanna be
exactly
there.
right.
Right.
And then she went up in the Malibu hills, and that wasn't, it was like the Goldilocks, too cold, too hot, too wet, too dry,
Yeah.
and then she kind of was like, oh, then she found this house on Whidbey Island, and that was just right.
Yeah.
So, when Laura says, well, I want to fly in I want to own a G6. Okay, well, that's going to be a few bucks. But did you know? I bet you didn't know that for less than that, you could fly and take a trip and have that experience.
I love it.
So this is where the integration of the image, you start with what you want, then you get emotionally involved in it, and then you can start to get into the how. Abraham says it's like you wouldn't vacuum your carpet with a vacuum cleaner that wasn't plugged into the source of power.
Yeah.
So like Kathy, when you think about that, for me, when I was in New York with Natasha and she was discharged, we went to Soho, and there was this really cool store that my daughter Lydia, who's staying here, loves the shoes from this place. It's called the Saba Dealer, and they make these Turkish shoes. They're absolutely gorgeous. They're like slippers. They're beautiful. All the celebrities wear them. And there was an entire wall of them in all different colors. Next door is one of my favorite jewelers that I discovered 30 years ago in a little boutique in Wellesley. And now she's quite famous and has this just fabulous sculptural jewelry. And I just had this vision of flying with Lydia to New York City on a private jet and just spending a day in Soho in a fabulous hotel, going to that shoe store, buying as many shoes as we possibly could carry, and, bringing Melvin, like that's the image that came to me. And so now that's what I'm inspired by. And to your point, Kathy, oh, I want to go to this conference. That's like $2,000. Okay, great. Get the jet, write the jet. No, but that is how, because you and I both are so familiar with Kathleen, that's how she's created everything. So now where does the realistic part come in?
Yeah.
I have to close this window. Sorry, I don't normally sit here. And the sun is actually out today for the first time in months. And hence we're going to go skiing. Sun's shining out the window of the building next door. Okay. So where does the
snow good right now?
unbelievable.
Oh.
It's like the middle of winter. We've had 10 feet in the last week.
But then you have sun. How fabulous.
I know. Well, this is what we've all been praying for. So where does the realistic part come in?
Yeah.
I think where people get hung up is if you really can't build belief around the 100,000, then Bob used to say, chunk it down, right?
Mhm.
Like make it into the public calendar. So here's the deal. So if you say 100,000 top line a month divided by say 30 days, that's only, oh, I love this. It's 33, 33, 33, 33,
Oh, wow.
33. So
Okay.
100,000 a month is $3,333.33, and down the line. So if you think about it, does $3,000, does 3,300 and does 3,333 a day seem like that much money?
No,
Right.
it doesn't.
And if that seems
No.
like a lot of money, you could break it down to hourly.
Yeah.
So that's where we want, because back to my point, it's already here, Kathy. Your 100,000 a month,
Right.
Lisa's, if that's what whoever, Laura's, mine. It's already here. The way to do it is already here. How many times do we hear Bob say that ad
Yeah.
nauseum? The way to do it is already here.
Yes.
What we have to do is plug in our vacuum cleaner. How do we do that? That exercise we just did. The what and the why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you're in that energy, play with this, you guys, this week. Get into that energy. Spend 15 minutes thinking, Kathy, seeing your children on the jet.
Yeah.
Seeing the home you're going to go to. You're doing the vacation. Your his mother-in-law is not coming. It's you
No.
and your family.
That's right.
It's the Kathy show. Kathy and Kathy and company
Yes.
show. And your significant other is there, by the way. It might even be his jet. I don't know.
Yeah. We don't know yet.
We have no idea, right? The universe knows. God knows.
Yes.
It's already done. So now, when you get tingly with that excitement about it, start to ask for guidance. I don't even think you have to ask. Like, ideas will start flowing. What if? What if I did this? Okay. Well, I don't really know how that makes sense, but I'm going to write that idea down. Okay. What if you did this? Okay. What if you did that? Okay. And all of a sudden, you're making this list of channeled energy that's coming to you saying, hey, the restaurant's over here. We already have your food. Come on in.
Yeah.
Right? What if? What if you served more people? What if you raised your prices? What if you created a do-it-yourself course? What if you wrote another book and went on a speaking tour? What if you became a famous TED Talk person? I don't know. The list of possibilities are endless.
I don't know if this is a side conversation or not, but I find, my groups I have, we're on lesson 9, and I can feel they want to have it over with. It's been going on, 3 months, and
Yeah.
they're kind of ready. They feel like I feel, and even once this is dragging on a little bit, and I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
And you and I can talk on the side.
Let's you and I have a one-on-one for sure.
Yeah.
And I have an idea immediately about that, but you
Oh,
and I
good.
will talk. We'll definitely put that in that.
Okay.
If here's what I want to impress here. And actually I'm doing lesson 9 with my TIR students
Yes,
too.
it's right
And that's
behind.
why this is so fabulous, is you have to have the image of what you want
Mhm.
aligned with the feeling of having it. And when that is constantly reinforced, meaning that's the new paradigm, your belief is that it's here, it's happening. Now, in the beginning, the old paradigm is like, can't see it, don't know how. Getting realistic about it, if breaking it down to first $50,000 a month, if that reduces the resistance in terms of the lack of belief, reduce it first to 50, because guess what? You'll hit 50 on the way to 100. If 25, do you know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
we can break it down, because if you're taking a trip from Utah to Boston, you're not going to drive it all in one day. You're going to have waypoints. If you're climbing up Everest, you go to base camp, then you go up to camp 2, then you come back down. So we can start to build a plan around the goal from inspired action. But getting the action before you get connected up to the source of all that is, and have a clear destination or a clear order for the restaurant of life, it's doing it backwards, because then you're doing it based on what you think can happen, what you know can happen, what you've done in the past. We want to start like in that video that Bob did,
Yes,
the
I love
creative process.
that. Is so good.
It's pure gold. So I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, here's Laura. There she is.
Oh, good. She's back.
She's back. Hey, Laura, I know you're in your car. So I'm going to give you an example, and Laura, You can watch this part of the recording of what we did before we really knew what was happening.
Mhm.
Okay. So we created this house visualization. When we first started doing this work, we didn't really have this metacognition that you start with an image, you get emotionally involved, you ask for guidance, you download inspired ideas, and then you take inspired action. We didn't get this whole setup. We didn't understand that your paradigm, your disbelief is going to be the big problem that it is. And it doesn't have to be. So, Laura, just to reiterate what I was saying to Kathy, the difference between what's realistic and not, we want to get into the vicinity of belief and building belief and bridging that gap. So I was saying to Kathy, if you want to have 100,000 top line net a month, then if that feels like, if that just, it's because you haven't created the image and gotten emotionally involved in it enough. Now, while you're doing that, you can break it down to the ridiculous. Do you want to hear a really cool thing?
Sure.
$3,333.33 a day equals $100,000 a month.
Mhm.
That doesn't seem like that much money a day to me.
Yeah.
But if it builds your belief more, go to $1,000 a day. Because you'll hit that $1,000 a day on the way, right?
Yeah.
So break it down to, okay, well, to me, if I want 100,000 a month, and to me, I'm looking only at my business as a source of that. Dan's working on other income sources. I am as well. To me, that's 10 clients a month at $10,000 a program. That's
Yeah.
5 clients every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That seems completely doable. Then I engineer the how around the dream. What we like to call reverse engineering. So when Dan and we lived in this beautiful house. I'll show you a picture here in Sherborne, Massachusetts. This was one of our favorite rooms. We had the house professionally decorated. These are some of my mid-century modern pieces, some old vintage pieces, some new things. We loved this house. When I tell you we loved this house, it was new construction. The buyer got caught in the downturn in 10-11. We really decked it out. We made it our own. We loved this house. But it came to a point where we lived in this town. We moved from my little house in Wellesley back to Sherborne because my youngest daughter, Natasha, was in the public schools there. And my ex-husband, was letting her do a lot of shenanigans. And he's like, well, you don't even live in the same town that she goes to school in. I'm like, got it. Found this house, bought it. That was an amazing story. Sold my house in Wellesley in 2 days, cash offer over asking. This was before I even knew what was happening, right? I was like, I can do this. I wasn't overthinking it. So then we bought this house. We lived there for 5 years. And then, as fate would have it, Natasha ended up going to the girls' school back in Wellesley, where my older 2 girls went. So now my ex-husband's paying her $50,000 a year tuition, and I'm paying my $33,000 a year school tax, my taxes, real estate taxes, because I'm in the #1 school system in the state of Massachusetts, which my child is not going to. So I am now driving her back to Wellesley. And I'm like, this is crazy, right? Like,
Yeah.
we're in this huge house. My older girls were out of college. They weren't coming home. We're in a 7,000 square foot house that I loved. I loved this house. It was unbelievably gorgeous. It was beautiful. It had huge entertaining areas, beautiful backyard, yada, yada, yada. But it made no sense. Our real
No.
estate taxes were $33,000 a year. That did
That's
not include my mortgage payment.
That's
It was a lot. But it just was time. Consciously, I knew it was time to let go of the house, but I was having a really hard time. And part of the hard time was I didn't know where I was going to go, right? I was nervous about finding a house in Wellesley. We didn't want to buy for 2 years because we knew we were coming out here, etc. So we were working with a gentleman who said, what do you want? Same thing I'm teaching you guys, only less details about how and why this works. And so he helped us. We created this. Our house is meant to be a home for an amazing family. I envision several children, loving parents, perhaps a new puppy, all enjoying our beautiful house and all it has to offer, a loving family. The events I see include Peggy and I organizing and preparing the house for a sale to a family that makes it their home. We will find a listing agent that works with us. You know, if these events take a different course, we accept and embrace that as part of the real plan. We do not know how or when this will happen. And that is not important, but our intention comes from a good heart for a positive outcome.
Mhm.
In fact, it has already happened. All that remains are the details. We will embrace every step in the process, good and bad, as we enjoy the journey to this outcome. Think about that. We just turned it over and said, please, this is what we want. And help for me to see someone enjoying that home who did have kids, that did get picked up by the bus, like Natasha used to be picked up, that did participate in town sports. It's an amazing, cute little town. It's where Mel Robbins lives. That's how I got to know her.
Okay.
But it was time for us to leave, but I was having a hard time letting go. My vision, and exactly this family bought our house. It's a longer story, I'll save for later, but exactly this family. And ultimately they did get a Bernedoodle. 2 little kids, school-age kids, amazing family. He ended up becoming a client of ours in TIR. That's how well the deal went. Said nobody ever about a real estate deal. And he treated Dan to $1,000 day at his golf club with his father-in-law.
Mm.
So that's what visualization, that's how this works, you guys. But we have to mind this business, the image and the emotion connected to it, and then taking inspired action.
So what
Then the
happened?
other,
So
so
what
then
happened?
so then the other hang up I had, and believe me, the odds were against it. We had realtors tell us it's going to take 2 years to sell your house. Your house is at the top of the market, of the real estate market here. There aren't many comps, yada, yada, yada. The common sense. We were like, nope, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. We were like, nope, nope. We found a real estate agent who got the vibe. We're like, this is how this is going down. We had her read this. She was awesome. So then my next hang up was, well, where are we going to live? Because there aren't like big apartment buildings in Wellesley. I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted a house near Dana Hall, walk to town. That's what I had owned previously in Wellesley, but I didn't want to buy it. Well, there aren't many options. I was looking at living in an apartment building in Newton, not really what I wanted to do. So we looked at a number of things. And then I was looking at real estate. I got this inspired action. Look at real estate listings in the Dana Hall neighborhood. And I found one that had been on the market for like 2 years. And it was this darling carriage house that was like 4,000 square feet. It was beautiful. It was actually built to go with a 12,000 square foot house next door. But that was in 2008. That thing went upside down. Somebody bought the big house, somebody bought the little house. So I thought, wow. So when I dropped Natasha off at school every morning, I'd bring my dogs and I'd park my car on the street and I would walk them up and down the street as if I was living there. Now, what happened next is so cool. So I called the real estate agent. And I said, hey, here's my name. Here's who I am. Here's what I'm looking for. Would your seller in any way, shape, or form be interested in potentially doing a 2-year lease? And he said, actually, it's funny you say that. He's considering that because the house isn't selling for what he wants. What are the chances of that, Laura? 100%.
Wow. Yes.
100%. Right? Then I go to look at it and I say, oh, by the way, I have these 2 dogs. They're 10 years old. They're totally house trained. They don't bark. They don't chew. And he's like, they don't shed. He's like, no problem. Then we go to tour the house. It's absolutely the coolest place. It's so beautiful. And it's got 4 bedrooms, 3-stall garage, heated garage. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous construction. Beautiful office downstairs, like paneled office with perfect for us, right? We're just starting the consulting business. our furniture fits in it. It's absolutely gorgeous. We have 3 cars. Natasha has her car, and it's 2 blocks from Dana Hall and 4 blocks from downtown Wellesley. So I meet the owner, really nice guy. Funny story, he's built houses for Mitt Romney out here in Salt Lake, good friend of Mitt Romney's. He's like, I'm on the board of directors at Dana Hall. I have 3 daughters that went there. I'm like, stop it. He's like, I love Dana Hall. I love that your daughter's there. I'd be happy to help you guys.
Wow.
Signed a 2-year lease, lived there happily, walked my dogs for 2 years. What are the chances of that? Was that realistic? No, I looked at a lot of crappy houses for rent in Wellesley, not in the right location, not very nice houses, not close to Dana Hall.
You've got to have the image of what you want. That's happened so many times to me.
Right.
When you get the image, it somehow it comes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so what did we say here? Did I believe this? No. You can ask Dan. I was in panic for a bit. I didn't believe it, but I kept reading this and I had faith. And the more I read it and the more I got into the what if this guy would rent me this house? It's a long shot, but what if? And then he's the nicest landlord in the world. He's so kind to us. He loves Dana Hall. He lets our dogs be there, no problem.
That's huge.
It was probably, I think he ended up selling it after we moved for like $2 million. Like we were living in a $2 million house.
So writing this is huge. When you write what you're showing us.
Exactly. So then we wrote out, we will find. In today's terms, I would say, I'm so happy and grateful now that we have a house that suits us perfectly.
Sure.
It is warm, cozy, and inviting. Not we didn't know back then. It is a place of peace. It is happening. It's here and now. I'm going to the restaurant. I'm connecting up with it. It is our place of peace and harmony. It is our next step in the journey. The how has unfolded perfectly. We're so grateful to God for the how. We're so grateful to the universe for the how. This or something better. We have a happy home and, I can see it clearly, but this is the point here. And the reason I'm sharing this is because it seems simplistic. It seems like it won't work. This is how it works. You're always manifesting something into reality. Almost always, if it's not what you want, it's coming from an old paradigm. It's coming from an old belief system. It's coming from paying attention to your existing circumstances. We've got to get really good at managing this flow. When this gets managed, everything else is easy. What have we been doing? If it's hard, we've been dealing with it once it drops into physical density, into physical reality. I'll leave you with this image.
Peggy,
Yeah,
can I share something just really quick?
of course.
I love your stories. I think your stories of how you manifested all that, I relate to so much of that. And it almost helps more than just the textbook version of what we're supposed to be doing.
Cool.
Because you do whatever you want. I'm just telling you what
No,
works
I
for me.
appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
Yeah. So yesterday, the last couple of days, I have been wanting to put special sound in the all the pods. I found out that I can add my own music permanently in there. And so I want to do something sound bath, right? Something around there. Don't even say anything. Don't ruin my story here. So Dan came in yesterday and he started talking about this guy he knows. And he does sound bath. He does didgeridoo. And it just was a complete answer to my prayers because it wasn't hard. It was just, this is what I want. This is what's good. I'm willing to pay for an MP3. Let's go. And that, because it's so simple, it's easy. I manifest that all the time. We're going to get a good parking spot. I manifest that all the time. It's the fear of what seems to be too much. And like you said, the universe doesn't know anything that's too much. And that's what I'm learning. So thank you. That's what I wanted to share.
Yeah, this is really helpful, Picky. I love
yeah,
you being so literal about this.
okay.
I'm gonna get off the phone when we stop and write out
Yes.
what I want.
And we
Yes.
have the formula, and we could do a session where we get into this and we do a working session where we're sitting down, we're writing it out, we're looking at the wheel of life like Dan talked about. I'd have you think about it ahead of time so you can start to be in the fantasy of it. And then we can sit down and we can write out a process like this for each one. And like we printed that, like this was very rudimentary, as you can see, like we were using future tense. Excuse me, we didn't know, but I appreciate that feedback, Laura. I love you. I trust you to always get, listen, I'm agnostic as to how I deliver this to you. My main goal is to deliver it to you in a way that hits, that helps, that makes it work. And so
I love that. I love stories. I can relate to stories.
of course.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. So let's do that. But think about this.
Okay.
And in your spare time, Laura, here's your story. I love your story. So he hooked you up. I forget what our friend's name is, Megan and
Something, yeah, and they're in Europe, and I've already
they're in the
reached
UK.
out to.
Yeah, we met
they're
him. We met him through the
France.
same mentor that we met and we met Joni through. And he was the
Yes.
one, this mentor helped us do this. But isn't that cool? What if we could build a belief? And spoiler alert, we will. What if we built a belief that it's just that easy? Everything is just that easy. That, by the way, Kathleen has mastered that.
Yeah, she really
That's
has.
a meta belief that it's just that easy. You think, wouldn't it be nice if you you put it out there in the universe and boom, the answer comes to you within like that easy.
Someday I'll share with you guys my story about getting one of my houses and all the things that I asked for and all the things that came about, or when I had to give up a daughter for adoption that we adopted, but Bruce couldn't bond with her, and the family I asked for came exactly like I asked for it, or the boat that I wanted and what I was willing to get and what I wanted came exactly as I wanted. And I can see that all of those things were easy for me. They weren't easy. Letting my daughter go was not easy, but all of it came to me because I was so passionate about what I wanted. I wanted it. I was in a picture. This is what's going to happen. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen this way, period. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There wasn't even any fear. It was just like, damn it, this is what we're going to do.
It's happening. It's on.
Yeah, it's on. It's done.
Yeah, I love that.
I can say the same thing. I have all these amazing things. So, I'm so happy you shared this today because it's time for me to remanifest.
Yeah. It's just a good reminder, and that's what we're here for, because you have to do it yourself.
You should do a book. Maybe we should do a book, The Stories of Manifestation.
Oh,
yeah, that's a great idea. I love that.
Okay, good. You collect stories.
Okay, guys, I gotta go ski.
Kathy, you do that.
Let's do it.
I love this.
Yeah,
so
you're lucky you're going. I just passed. Okay, yeah, you go up there. Bruce is gonna go to. Okay, bye, bye, guys.
Love you guys.
Bye. Have fun, Piggy.
Bye.
Bye. Have fun. Okay.